This has been a really common question, affidavit of support. Everybody's asking questions about this over the past few weeks. My guess is that it's because so many people are receiving interviews at U.S. embassies and consulates abroad, or maybe you're just getting to that phase that you've received an approval on your fiancé visa petition or your I-130 petition, and you're just at that phase where you're needing to do all of the documents and the next steps for the affidavit of support. But this question, I have a lot of videos on the affidavit of support, but this question, it keeps coming up. A lot of individuals have been asking about, what is the impact of a mortgage on my eligibility to be the sole sponsor for my spouse's case? And how would a mortgage impact the case? Can I still be eligible? And so this is an interesting question. There was previously a form called I-944 that it was in addition to this affidavit of support, where immigration really wanted to see your debts as well as showing that you had the requisite income. And so I don't know if that question is coming from that or exactly where this has originated. The other thing is I'm not sure if individuals are trying to use their home as an asset, but in general, taking out a mortgage to purchase a home wouldn't necessarily negatively impact the affidavit of support. It can if you're having to use assets for the affidavit of support. And so I want to kind of back up and put this in a little bit more context for the individuals who've asked this question. For the affidavit of support, as I mentioned, I do have other videos, specifically one on how to determine whether or not you're eligible to be the sole sponsor. But basically, immigration is looking at the total income line on your taxes of the prior year to determine whether or not you are eligible to be the sole sponsor for the case. And they compare that amount to the poverty guidelines. It's called Form I-864P. So they compare your household size with that number. If you don't make enough, one of the things that you can do is you can show that you have assets. And one of the assets you can use is a home. The assets have to make up 3 times the difference. So the amount that you're short to be able to be the sole sponsor, it has to make up that difference by 3 times. And also, if you're going to use something like a home as an asset, you have to show how much equity you have in the home. So how much money you have put into the home, how much of your mortgage you have paid off, and then how much of that home balance on the mortgage still remains. So I know this is a very complicated question, and I could talk about this for a long time. But for the individual who had this question, as we mentioned, please feel free to schedule a consultation. And for everyone else who kind of had questions about this topic, please feel free to schedule a consultation with our attorneys, and we'd be able to help you decide what your next options are. And so in general, taking out a mortgage wouldn't necessarily negatively impact you for the affidavit of support, but it really is going to depend. I definitely want to make that or have that caveat to understand that it can. It would just depend if you have to use assets or not. So hopefully that helps answer the questions that we've had here in the Facebook group about this topic.